Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the ETS Defiant, watching Earth's defense fleet perform their final maneuvers. 20 years of human ingenuity, sacrifice, and determination, about to be dismantled because some alien bureaucrats decided humanity wasn't mature enough for space warfare. The message from the Galactic Council had arrived 3 days ago. Their ambassador, a towering crystalline being called Voice of Harmony, had delivered it with what passed for sympathy among their kind. Your species has achieved much in a short time, but your psychological profile indicates dangerous aggressive tendencies. For the safety of all spacefaring civilizations, you must dismantle your military spacecraft within 30 standard cycles. Sarah's fingers tightened on the railing as she watched the Celestial-class destroyers moving into their decommissioning orbits. Each ship represented thousands of hours of human innovation, workarounds for technologies the more advanced species refused to share. They'd built these ships despite starting centuries behind their galactic neighbors, and now they were being told to scrap them like obsolete toys. Admiral, the Council observers have arrived. Lieutenant Rivera's voice pulled her from her thoughts. They're requesting permission to begin their inspection. Permission granted, Sarah replied, keeping her voice neutral despite the fury churning in her gut. Escort them to the bridge. The inspection team consisted of 3 different species: a serpentine Nexar whose scales shifted colors with each movement, a bulbous Keth whose environmental suit hummed with containment fields, and a holographic projection of an energy-based Lumini. Their leader, the Nexar called System Protector Vish, flicked a forked tongue as it reviewed the decommissioning schedules. Your compliance is appreciated, it said, managing to sound both condescending and pleased. Once your fleet is dismantled, we can begin integrating your worlds into proper Galactic Council protection protocols. Sarah caught Rivera tensing beside her. The young lieutenant had lost family in the Proxima incident last year, when Council protection protocols had taken 6 hours to respond to a distress call from human colonists under attack. 23 dead, including Rivera's sister. We understand the Council's concerns, Sarah said carefully, but surely some compromise could be reached. Our colonies are expanding, and response times from Council peacekeepers. The Council's decision is final. The Keth interrupted, its translator rendering its bubbling speech into clipped tones. Your species' history of internal warfare makes you unsuitable for autonomous military operations in space. This is for your own protection. Sarah felt her jaw tighten, but maintained her diplomatic smile. Of course, we'll continue with the scheduled decom. The bridge's emergency comm crackled to life. Admiral, we're picking up multiple unauthorized contacts approaching the Titan mining outpost. Energy signatures matched the raiders from the Europa incident. The Council observers shifted uncomfortably as Sarah brought up the tactical display. Dozens of ships, moving fast and aggressive toward humanity's largest off-world mining operation. 3,000 civilian workers about to face the same threats that had already cost hundreds of human lives. Council vessels are being dispatched, System Protector Vish announced. Your forces must stand down as per the disarmament agreement. Sarah watched the tactical display, calculating distances and response times. The nearest Council peacekeeping force was stationed near Neptune's orbit. They'd never arrive in time. She thought of Rivera's sister, of all the human lives lost while waiting for alien protection that came too late. She straightened her uniform and turned to face the observers. With all due respect to the Council, I took an oath to protect human lives. Lieutenant Rivera, bring all weapons online. Signal the fleet. We move to intercept. Admiral Chen, the Lumini's hologram flickered with agitation. This action will be viewed as direct defiance of Council authority. The consequences will be less severe than watching thousands of humans die while we wait for permission to save them. Sarah settled into her command chair, already reading tactical data as it scrolled across her display. You can either help us protect those civilians, or you can watch us demonstrate exactly why humanity developed these ships in the first place. The observers huddled together, chittering and bubbling in their native languages. Sarah ignored them, focusing on deployment patterns and intercept trajectories. If this was to be humanity's last military action before forced disarmament, she would make it count. "All ships reporting ready," Admiral Rivera announced, his voice steady despite the tension visible in his shoulders. Sarah nodded, her decision made. Let the Council see exactly what they were asking humanity to give up. Signal the fleet. Battle stations. The aftermath of the Titan incident sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. Admiral Chen's defiance of direct orders had saved 3,000 human lives, but the political cost was severe. The Council responded by accelerating their disarmament timeline and placing permanent observers at every major human shipyard and research facility. Dr. Maya Patel stood in her underground lab beneath the Lunar Research Center, watching holographic simulations of her latest designs. On paper, the facility was dedicated to developing improved life support systems for civilian vessels. The truth lay in the encrypted data streams flowing through quantum channels to hidden facilities across the solar system. Dr. Patel, her assistant, David Chen, no relation to the now discharged admiral, appeared at her elbow. The Council inspector is making their weekly rounds. They'll reach this section in about 10 minutes. Maya nodded, already initiating shutdown protocols for the classified projects. How's our friend from Proxima doing? Still watching. They're very interested in our atmospheric regulation research. David's slight emphasis told Maya everything she needed to know. Their Proximan contact, a member of another species the Council had deemed too aggressive for space warfare, continued to provide valuable technical insights through carefully coded scientific exchanges. As screens shifted to display innocent environmental data, Maya reflected on the events that had led them here. The Titan incident had proved humanity's point about needing self-defense capabilities, but it had also taught them a crucial lesson. Direct confrontation with the Council was futile. If humanity wanted to survive in an increasingly dangerous galaxy, they needed to be smarter. The solution had come from an unexpected source: the very restrictions meant to contain them. The Council's regulations were vast and complex, full of loopholes and contradictions created by centuries of bureaucratic additions. Humanity had always excelled at finding creative solutions to seemingly impossible problems. Inspector Zix approaching. The lab's AI announced softly. Maya straightened her lab coat and prepared her most professional smile. The inspector was a Tellarite, their species' natural ability to detect energy signatures making them perfect for ensuring compliance with Council restrictions. Its 4 eyes scanned the lab methodically as Maya led it through their official research. These modifications to your atmospheric processors, Zix gestured at a technical diagram. They seem unusually robust for civilian applications. Deep space mining can be unpredictable, Maya explained smoothly. Our colonists often face dangerous gas pockets, cosmic radiation, and other environmental hazards. We're simply ensuring they have the best possible protection. What she didn't mention was how those same systems could be rapidly converted to handle weaponized gas attacks, or how the radiation shielding could be reconfigured into defensive screens strong enough to withstand military-grade energy weapons. The Council had forbidden humanity from building warships, but they hadn't quite forbidden research into defensive technologies. After the inspector left, Maya received an encrypted message from Admiral Chen. Though officially discharged, Sarah had become a key figure in what they called the Phoenix Initiative, humanity's carefully hidden preparation for a future they hoped would never come, but couldn't afford to ignore. Project status. The message asked simply. Maya sent back a series of seemingly innocent scientific data points. Embedded within them was the real report: 3 new facilities now operational, production of civilian ships with military potential proceeding on schedule, breakthrough in metamaterial camouflage, showing promising results. The Council thought they were containing humanity's aggressive tendencies. In reality, they were forcing humans to become something far more dangerous, patient, creative, and absolutely determined to survive. Later that night, Maya joined a secure conference with other project leaders scattered across Earth's sphere of influence. Dr. James Wilson from Mars Colony shared progress on their mining lasers. Dr. Elena Rodriguez reported on advances in emergency maneuvering systems that could double as combat thrusters. Each piece was legal in isolation. Together, they were building something unprecedented. The Council's latest survey showed a 40% increase in pirate activity along our colonial routes. Admiral Chen's voice was grim. Their response times are getting worse, not better. We need to accelerate the timeline. Maya pulled up her latest designs, ships that looked completely innocent to Council inspectors, but could transform into combat-capable vessels within minutes. We're ready to begin production on the Mark III prototypes. The metamaterial plating will mask their true capabilities until they're needed. The Council believes they're teaching us patience, Sarah said softly. They don't realize we learned that lesson millennia ago. Every empire that tried to contain humanity rather than work with us as equals eventually discovered their mistake. The Council will learn the same lesson. I just hope it doesn't take a tragedy to open their eyes. Maya looked at her designs, each one representing countless hours of human ingenuity directed toward a single purpose: survival. And if they don't learn, then humanity will do what it has always done. Sarah replied, "We'll find a way to thrive, with or without their approval." The emergency alert shattered the quiet of Maya's lab at 300 Earth Standard Time. A distant mining outpost had gone dark, their last transmission cutting off mid-distress call. Under normal circumstances, this would mean waiting hours for Council peacekeepers to respond. But these weren't normal circumstances. Phase 1 is authorized. Admiral Chen's coded message read: Deploy Test Unit Phoenix A to investigate. Maintain civilian protocols. Maya's fingers flew across her console, sending activation codes to a supposedly routine cargo vessel docked at Luna Port. The ship, designation Commercial Transport Hyperion, was about to make history as humanity's first true response to the Council's restrictions. Captain Riza Delir stood on the Hyperion's bridge, watching his crew perform final pre-launch checks. They all wore standard merchant marine uniforms, but each had been handpicked from Earth's former defense forces. The ship itself appeared to be a standard Thompson-class bulk freighter, until you knew where to look. All systems nominal, his XO, Lisa Martinez, reported. Metamaterial camouflage active and stable. Council monitors reading us as exactly what we're supposed to be. Riza nodded, feeling the familiar tension before a mission, amplified by the stakes involved. If they were caught, it wouldn't just mean their careers. The entire Phoenix initiative could be exposed. Launch clearance granted. Luna Control announced. Safe travels, Hyperion. Council Defense Force has been notified of your humanitarian response mission. The Hyperion lifted smoothly from its berth, its supposedly civilian-grade engines pushing it rapidly toward the outer system. Once they cleared lunar orbit, Riza gave the order they'd all been waiting for. Initiate Phoenix Protocol. Throughout the ship, hidden systems hummed to life. Innocent-looking hull plates shifted microscopically, revealing weapon ports disguised as sensor arrays. The emergency response power core seamlessly transformed into a military-grade reactor. Every modification was designed to appear completely legitimate under Council regulations while serving a very different purpose. Transformation complete, Martins reported. All combat systems online and masked. We're still reading as a civilian vessel to external sensors. Dr. Patel's design was working perfectly. The Hyperion was now as capable as any of their old military vessels, but to the Council's observers, they were simply a well-equipped rescue ship responding to an emergency. They reached the mining outpost 6 hours later, 4 hours faster than their officially rated engines should have allowed. The scene confirmed their worst fears. Multiple hostile signatures detected, Martins announced, her voice tight. Energy readings matched the raiders from previous attacks. They're still here, stripping the outpost. Riza studied the tactical display. 3 raider vessels, their designs unlike anything in Council records. The outpost's primary habitat module showed significant damage, but internal sensors detected survivors in sealed emergency compartments. "Life signs in the habitat?" he asked. 43 confirmed, Martins replied. "Environmental systems failing. They have maybe 2 hours of air left." The Council peacekeepers were still at least 5 hours out. Standard procedure would be to wait for their arrival, maintaining a safe distance while monitoring the situation. The raiders had clearly expected this, taking their time to loot the outpost. "Signal the outpost," Reza ordered. "Let them know help has arrived." The raiders reacted immediately, 2 ships breaking off from their plundering to approach the Hyperion. Their weapons powered up, expecting an easy target. "They're charging weapons," Martins reported calmly. "Reading energy signatures well above civilian grade." "Perfect." Reza allowed himself a small smile. "That means this is officially an environmental hazard to our rescue operation. Deploy countermeasures." The Hyperion's defensive systems activated. Point defense lasers disguised as navigation beacons tracked the approaching raiders. Electronic warfare suites hidden behind civilian comm arrays began disrupting their targeting systems. "Sir," Martinez's voice held a note of concern, "if we engage, we risk revealing our capabilities." Reza watched the tactical display, remembering all the lives lost while humanity played by the Council's rules. Sometimes the best way to keep a secret is to hide it in plain sight. Weapons free. The Hyperion's response shocked the raiders. Their first shots, aimed to disable what they thought was a helpless rescue ship, were absorbed by shields that shouldn't have existed on a civilian vessel. The Hyperion's return fire was devastating, its weapons striking with military precision while maintaining their disguise as emergency defense systems. The battle was over in minutes. 2 raider ships destroyed, the third fleeing into deep space. As rescue teams deployed to the habitat module, Reza composed his official report. On paper, the Hyperion had barely escaped with their lives, using improvised civilian systems to drive off the attackers just long enough for them to rescue the survivors. But the real message, encrypted within routine telemetry to Luna Base, told a different story. Phoenix protocol successful. Full combat capability maintained while preserving civilian appearance. Recommend immediate production expansion. In her lab, Maya read the report with satisfaction. The metamaterial technology had worked exactly as designed, allowing the Hyperion to fight while maintaining its civilian disguise. But more importantly, they had saved 43 lives without waiting for Council permission. "Send to all Phoenix facilities," she typed. "Begin Phase 2 production." The Council had taught humanity to be patient. Now they would learn that patience didn't mean inaction. It meant preparing for the moment when patience was no longer enough. The success of the Hyperion changed everything. Over the next 6 months, the Phoenix Initiative quietly launched dozens of similar ships, each disguised as civilian vessels, but harboring military capabilities that would have horrified the Council. They responded to emergencies across human space, building a record of successful interventions that even Council observers had to acknowledge. But Admiral Sarah Chen knew they were living on borrowed time. Someone would eventually notice that human ships were responding to attacks faster than they should be able to, that their civilian defensive systems were remarkably effective against military-grade weapons. The breaking point came sooner than anyone expected. Maya was reviewing sensor data from the latest Phoenix deployment when every alert in her lab activated simultaneously. "Multiple unidentified vessels entering the solar system," the AI announced. "Energy signatures exceed all known Council military craft." The incoming fleet dropped out of FTL Drive on the edge of the Kuiper Belt. 15 ships of unknown design, each larger than anything humanity had ever built. They made no attempt at communication, moving directly toward the civilian shipping lanes between Mars and Jupiter. The Council's response was typical: remain calm. Peacekeeping forces have been notified and will arrive within standard response time. All human vessels are ordered to maintain distance from the unknown contacts. Sarah Chen, officially still discharged but serving as strategic advisor to the Phoenix Initiative, watched the situation unfold from the hidden command center beneath Luna Base. "How many Phoenix ships do we have in range?" "7 within immediate response range," Maya reported. "5 more can arrive within 2 hours. But Sarah, these readings," she sent the sensor data to the main display. "These ships are far beyond anything we've encountered. Even with our hidden capabilities, we'd be severely outmatched." Sarah studied the tactical projections, time until they reached the Mars-Jupiter shipping corridor. 3 hours. There are 14 civilian transports in their path, including 2 passenger liners. The Council peacekeepers wouldn't arrive for at least 6 hours. Thousands of lives hung in the balance. "Send the alert to all Phoenix vessels," Sarah ordered. "But tell them to hold position until my signal." "Maya, how's the progress on Project Lazarus?" Maya hesitated. "The prototype is operational, but we haven't tested it under real conditions. The power requirements alone. No time like the present. Signal Captain Delir on the Hyperion. His ship will be the test platform." The Hyperion had been quietly docked at a maintenance facility near Ceres, receiving upgrades that pushed the boundaries of what could be hidden from Council observers. Now it moved to intercept the alien fleet, accompanied by the other Phoenix vessels spread across the system. On the Hyperion's bridge, Captain Delir received the encrypted specifications for Project Lazarus. His eyes widened as he read them. "These modifications," he said to his XO, "they'll completely expose our true capabilities. There's no way to disguise this as civilian technology." Martinez nodded grimly. "Maybe that's the point, sir. Sooner or later, someone was going to notice what we've been doing. At least this way, we choose the moment." The alien fleet showed no sign of slowing as it approached the shipping lanes. Their weapons remained charged, their intentions clear from their trajectory and formation. "All Phoenix vessels in position," Martinez reported. "Project Lazarus modifications complete." "Sir, it's been an honor serving with you, whatever happens next." Delir touched the comm panel. "Admiral Chen, Hyperion ready for Phase 1. "Understood, Captain." Sarah's voice was steady. "Remember, we only get one shot at this. Make it count." The Hyperion's metamaterial hull began to shift, not to hide its capabilities this time, but to reveal them. Panels retracted, exposing weapon systems that no civilian ship should possess. The reactor core pulsed with power that sent Council monitoring stations into alarm. "Signal the fleet," Delir ordered. "Full tactical display. Let them see exactly what they're facing." Across the system, other Phoenix ships followed suit, their civilian disguises falling away to reveal the truth. Humanity had never stopped building warships. They had simply learned to hide them better. The alien fleet detected the transformation. Their formation shifted, weapons turning toward this unexpected threat. But they had lost the initiative, and humanity had one more surprise waiting. "Project Lazarus online," Martinez announced. "All ships reporting ready." Delir took a deep breath. "Send the message to all frequencies, including Council channels. This is Captain Reza Delir of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered restricted space and threatened civilian vessels. Withdraw immediately, or we will demonstrate exactly why the Council wanted to keep humanity away from advanced weapons." The alien fleet's response was to open fire, exactly as humanity had hoped. Because Project Lazarus wasn't just another weapon system. It was the culmination of everything humanity had learned about Council technology, turned toward a single purpose, proving that sometimes the best defense requires being willing to strike first. The battle that followed would change the galaxy's understanding of humanity forever. Project Lazarus unleashed something the galaxy had never seen before. As the alien fleet opened fire, the Hyperion and its sister ships responded with a synchronized attack that demonstrated just how creative humans could be when backed into a corner. The metamaterial hulls of the Phoenix ships didn't just absorb enemy fire. They redirected it, channeling the energy through systems that Dr. Patel and her team had reverse-engineered from studying Council technology. Each hit on a human vessel made their return fire stronger, turning the aliens' own power against them. Energy reflection at maximum capacity, Martins reported as the Hyperion shuddered under another barrage. Lazarus systems performing beyond projected specifications. The alien ships, discovering their primary weapons were only making their opponents stronger, switched tactics. They launched what appeared to be boarding pods, hundreds of them, streaking across space toward the human vessels. "They're trying to overwhelm our defenses," Delure observed. "Signal the fleet. Execute Maneuver Phoenix." The human ships broke formation, but not in retreat. They moved with practiced precision, forming a complex three-dimensional pattern that the alien vessels tried to follow. As they did, hidden gravitational generators activated between the Phoenix ships, creating a web of overlapping fields. The boarding pods, caught in the artificial gravity wells, were pulled off course. Some collided with each other, while others were drawn into carefully calculated trajectories that brought them right into the sights of the human ship's point defense systems. In her command center, Sarah Chen watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. "Send word to all human outposts and colonies. Execute Protocol Ascension." Across human space, hidden facilities began powering up. Sensor stations disguised as research outposts revealed their true nature. A network of defense platforms, each one built under the Council's nose through careful exploitation of regulatory loopholes, came online. The alien fleet found itself caught in a trap centuries in the making. Every route of retreat was covered. Every tactical auction countered by systems humans shouldn't have been able to build. "Admiral," Maya's voice was urgent, "we're detecting Council peacekeeping forces approaching. They're ahead of their reported schedule." Sarah smiled coldly. "Of course they are, because they finally realized what's really happening here." She opened a channel to all Phoenix ships. "Stand firm. The real test is about to begin." The Council fleet dropped out of FTL, drive near Saturn's orbit. Dozens of ships, their weapons powered but not yet targeting the human vessels. The alien attackers, seeing reinforcements arrive, pressed their attack with renewed vigor. "Incoming transmission from the Council flagship," Martins announced. "They're ordering all ships to stand down immediately." Delire shared a look with his XO. "Send them the data package." Across every Council command screen, information began flowing. Evidence gathered over years of careful investigation. Records of Council peacekeepers deliberately delayed responses to human distress calls. Proof that the alien attackers had been allowed through Council security cordons. Documentation showing certain Council members had been profiting from keeping aggressive species contained and dependent on their protection. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen," her voice broadcast across all frequencies. "For years, humanity accepted the Council's restrictions, believing they were meant to keep peace. Today, we demonstrate why those restrictions were really put in place, not because humanity was too aggressive, but because we were too good at defending ourselves." The alien fleet, realizing they had lost their advantage, attempted to retreat. The Phoenix ships, their Lazarus systems now fully charged with absorbed energy, struck as one. Beams of redirected power cut through space, turning the attackers' own energy against them. To the Council forces, Sarah continued, "You have a choice. You can either help us eliminate this threat to galactic peace, or you can try to enforce restrictions that were never about safety. They were about control. Choose carefully. Humanity is done asking permission to survive." The Council fleet hung in space, weapons still ready but not firing. On their command decks, the evidence continued to flow. Years of corruption and manipulation exposed to the light. The first Council ship to move was a Proximan vessel, sliding into formation alongside the Hyperion. Others followed, not all, but enough to show that humanity wasn't alone in seeing the truth. In the aftermath, as the combined forces dealt with the remaining attackers, Sarah received a message from the Council's central worlds. The restrictions on human military development were being reviewed. A formal investigation into the evidence of corruption had begun. But humanity had already learned its lesson. They would participate in the council, work with other species, but they would never again give up their right to defend themselves. The Phoenix Initiative had done more than save lives. It had proven that sometimes the most powerful weapon wasn't a ship or a gun, but the simple determination to survive no matter what rules tried to hold you back. Send to all Phoenix vessels, Sarah ordered as the last alien ship surrendered. Mission accomplished. But stay ready. Something tells me the galaxy is about to become a much more interesting place. In her lab, Maya was already drawing up new designs, because humanity had learned something important. Sometimes the best way to keep the peace was to make sure everyone knew exactly what would happen if they broke it. The Council had wanted to prevent humanity from becoming a military power in space. Instead, they had forced humanity to become something far more dangerous, innovative, determined, and absolutely unwilling to back down when their people were threatened. As the Phoenix fleet escorted the Council ships back to Earth, their metamaterial hulls gleaming in the sunlight, they carried a message to the galaxy. Humanity would not be contained. They would not be controlled. And they would always find a way to protect their own, no matter what rules stood in their way.